Hello everyone, it's your girl Linda. Welcome to my show, Champagne Talk. We have a very wonderful guest that will be taking us through to subject titled Youth Empowerment. Please help me and welcome our brother Agi.
Hi.
Agi.
That's all right.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for honoring this
That's
invitation.
all right. Thank you for the invite.
Oh, you're welcome. The subject today is youth empowerment. So we have to talk about it.
Yep.
Because I know there are youth out there that want to hear what we have to say and maybe take one or two lessons or whatever to add to what they have already. So can you talk to us more about youth empowerment?
So I think in today's generation, youth empowerment looks at how do you get young people to take ownership of their own things? How do you get them to be confident? How do you get them to be involved? How do you get them to own their own destiny?
Okay.
How do you get them to make sure that they are driving things the way they want to? But then sometimes it's also how do you get them to set themselves up for success in the future? And it's an important thing that we need for our society as a whole, because young people are the next generation. They are the next us society.
Yeah. At times they need direction as well. You need to let them.
And I think in doing youth empowerment, if it's done right, you do it in such a way that you set them up with the correct support, discipleship, mentoring, training and development, so that they're actually able to do things the right way.
Yes. All right. So I have some questions I would like us to talk about. So what inspired you to be a leader, youth leader? Because I know you're one of the youth leaders. So what made you want to or become youth leader?
I think I was probably a product of youth empowerment myself. So me being given responsibilities. I remember there was a time in my local youth group I was actually asked, they put forward a bunch of people to do different roles. And I got elected to be the president of the youth group.
Wow,
and it was
that's nice.
Not necessarily something I wanted. And I think that's a great thing about youth empowerment, and sometimes forces people outside of their comfort zone and gives them a framework to work with and actually try new skills and learn things. Fail forward as well. So I think I was definitely a product of that, and in doing that I found it something I enjoyed and just kept on going and kept on doing it. So that's kind of how I fell into it.
That's nice. Me as well, I like young people. Like I like to engage with young people, and what I studied at the uni also is in around youth and families. So when it has to do with youth, I become very interested because, like you rightly said before, they are our young leaders, future leaders and all that. So it's good. It's good to be there for them because they actually need us anyway.
They do.
So the next one I would like us to talk about, how does it work? Like, how do you put it together? How do you make them listen to you? How do you do it?
How does it work? I think in terms of how do you get, so if I was talking to someone who wanted to set up youth empowerment projects and stuff like that, I would say the first thing you need to do is there are young people around everybody. Everybody has a cousin, a nephew, somebody down the road, or somebody that they connect with, even a young person they see on the street, and they have some sort of familiarity with. I'm not talking to people to go and approach young people who are strange to them. No, not in any way. But just having that real conversation with them, sharing that with them to start with a bit about yourself. Letting them know your background.
Because that will bring trust.
It brings trust, and if a young person doesn't trust you,
then there's no point.
Forget it. And for me, one thing I've noticed over time is you don't have to be the same as the young person. You don't have to listen to the same music as them. You don't necessarily have to wear the same clothes. All of those sort of cliche things. All you need to do is gain their trust, and young people are smart. They are intelligent.
They pick it up.
They pick up on if you're disingenuine, like if you're not
They will
genuine,
know.
and they trust people who are authentic.
Yeah.
So in doing that, that means that you can then be begin to know about them.
Yeah.
And then once you begin to know about them,
Yeah.
try and think of ways that you can encourage them into things that they want to do.
Yeah.
So whether that's creating opportunities like seeing a task and saying and asking for their help with it, or seeing a project and encouraging them to be part of it, or seeing opportunities and just saying, okay, it may be that you don't have the ability to do it, but in you having a conversation with them, you can leverage your network to support them. So you might have a friend who's works in a field that they're involved in or they're interested in, and you could ask them whether or not they'd be interested in that. But then for young people, I'd say if they're interested in youth empowerment things, I think this generation is has got a wealth of technology, a wealth of information that's at their fingerprints, and influence that's at their fingerprints.
Yes.
So when I feel like I'm older these days, but when I was a younger person, like mobile phones were just relatively new. You didn't have, well, you had MSN messaging. You didn't have TikTok. You weren't able to reach millions of people.
Even WhatsApp and all that.
It didn't exist.
Yeah.
So you weren't able to reach millions of people with a click. So a young person who's interested in youth empowerment, like, what is it you're passionate about? What is it that you want to do? And there are a lot of people out there who are creating content for themselves. They are learning ideas. They're picking up on things that others are doing. Thinking about, okay, what is it that I can do as a young person, and start it. Don't necessarily even necessarily need to publish it as much, but even just starting it, and again, I'm going to say this word a lot, failing forward within it, trying it, doing it, keeping on succeeding in it, and then looking out for role models. Because in looking out for role models in older people or in people who've done it before, there's some of the sort of employment and careers workshops that we've done in the past. We've told young people, instead of trying to just think, how do I become this type of profession? These days, everybody's CV is online for you to read.
Exactly, yeah.
If there's a profession that you want to get into, however obscure it might be, go onto LinkedIn, for example. Look at someone who's doing it really well.
Research about it.
Research their profile. Look at what school they went to. Look at what qualifications they have. Look at the skills they're saying that they have, and say, okay, what do I need to do to fill that gap?
Exactly.
And then the minute you start doing that, and even better, reach out to the individual. Because you'd be surprised how many people want to support the younger generation to come up as well, and are willing to give their time and experiences.
And that's where communication comes in, because you need to communicate for you to be able to get what the information you're looking for. Because if you don't, then nobody will know. Nobody will know
you're wanting that information.
Exactly. So I wanted to ask you again, why is it important to empower youth? But what you just explained, that you've already covered that area B. And I know empowering them also enhances their self-esteem.
I think you're right. In terms of improving their self-esteem, you can be intentional about how you encourage the next generation. And I think teachers have a hard task on their hands. Parents have a hard task on their hands. So any organizations or any support that is out there, or any people who are, it takes a village to raise a child.
Exactly, yes.
If you're able to sort of, whether you're directly working with young people, or you might just be in a role or a leadership role in an organization that can support young people. You don't necessarily, obviously, DBS checks, and obviously if you're working directly, but if you're working with, if you're to set up an initiative, even in a workplace, let's say, for example, you're looking to intentionally bring on new starters, and you're looking to do you work in a IT sector, or you work in a medical sector, or whatever that might look like, and you're thinking, okay, let me create some space where young people can learn, fit in, come into the organization, or even just have like half-term holiday
just
places that they can come and do some work experience and things like that. Because confidence, it's important that they gain that confidence
to choose, make the right decision, choose where they want to go in life. It helps them. Because one thing I realized that when you're empowering young people, it's not good to judge them, because when you judge them, then you're not going to achieve that aim, the purpose of you coming to do, make them, help them better their life. Because now they feel like, oh, okay, he's judging me or she's judging me, so I'm not a good person. And then you've lost that. But when you come in, like you said, genuinely, and let them trust you, they'll be able to open up. You'll be able to get into them, have a very wonderful communication with them, and it will flow.
I think there's also an element of, just because they're a young person doesn't mean they can't teach you something.
Exactly.
And it's not to say that young people have arrived, because I remember when I was, and again, sounding like I'm old.
It's okay.
When I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, I thought, yes, I know
everything. I know.
And I definitely didn't know. And now that I'm here, I'm like, okay. And then I was very naive, didn't know anything. And it's just sort of humbled me to that extent. But within that, actually, in working with young people, what I've noticed is, in trying to teach them, there were a lot of times where actually they've been the ones who taught me, or they've showed me another way of doing it. So just because you might be bringing them on board a project, or just because you might be creating a project to say, okay, you guys run away and do this, there needs to be an element of engagement where they are the ones driving the ideas. And actually, you may have an idea for, let's say you want to do a social outreach about crime, and you might think, okay, it needs to look like this and this and this for your reasons. However, they come to it with a completely different avenue, and they have completely different ideas. And they could be really brilliant ideas that you miss out on if you don't take the open-minded nature and listen to what they're saying, and work with them to implement the ideas. I think in the past, for a number of years, I've been trying to, like, youth engagement is not an easy thing. It's not as simple as saying to a young person, just do this, because not every young person
they will always ask you, why do you want us to do this? They want you to, it's a conversation. Do something. Why do you want me to do it? Explain. They won't ask their teachers.
They're comfortable. Some young people are very outgoing and very much want to get involved in it. Some young people are like, I just want to sit and do nothing. I don't want to do anything at all. Why are you forcing me to do this? Or why are you trying to get me? And I think sometimes that's about their confidence. Sometimes it's about giving them the understanding of why. And then setting them up for the right things. But within all of it, they can sometimes surprise themselves, and they can surprise you with what they come out with.
Absolutely. So we've touched a lot of places that will benefit young people, but then empowering them is good, building their self-esteem, confidence and all that, their values, to help them take right decisions and all that. But do you think there are risks behind that can come up doing all those things?
I think in terms of risk, I say the risks outweigh the benefits, and the benefits outweigh the risks. I'll start from that point. But I think we do have to make sure that we do things in the right way. So obviously, if you're working directly with young people, making sure safeguarding is in place. But then also making sure that you set them expectations. And I think it goes with anything in life. If you're able to set clear expectations for people in terms of, this is what you would expect, this is what you don't expect. And if that is not happening, then you communicate in a very clear way what you expect. Because I think sometimes people treat young people like they are children or infants still. And they don't like that at times. No, and it doesn't help them either later in life. If a young person is getting something wrong, if their behavior is not correct, if they are missing the point, or if they're, for whatever reason, not doing what is expected, or
you try to help with the behavior, but not labeling them, or maybe saying the person is not okay, but try what we can do to help them with that behavior. But at times, adults will condemn the person, but not the behavior. And the behavior is still there.
And I think that comes from a place of, if you've got to love young people.
Yes.
And that in itself is like, for me, I'm a very new dad. My son's 4 weeks old.
Oh my God! Congratulations. Okay. Is that the first one?
First.
Oh wow. Nice.
So it's like, so he doesn't do any wrong, right?
Yeah, for now. Yes. For now.
But it's like, okay, the mess that he might do, it's very much, I can tidy that, deal with that, but it doesn't change how I feel about him. And it's easier to do that as a parent than it is maybe necessarily as a somebody who's working with these young people. There's got to be a certain level of accountability that you, as the individual who's working with that young person and empower them, takes, so that yes, they are given the free will, or given the not free will, well, yes, free will, but they're given the space to create, they're given the space to do things, but you also set some level of oversight for them. And I think the best way that looks is when it goes right and the success happens, push them to the forefront, make sure they collect as much praise as possible for it.
Very correct.
If it goes wrong, take the flak for them. Protect them from that, from a public point of view. But make sure you have the very real conversations with them to talk to them. Unfortunately, not everybody listens to advice. It's an unfortunate thing that,
because we feel like we know everything. Everybody know everything.
And sometimes people aren't ready to people aren't ready to hear. People aren't ready to change. And it's an unfortunate thing. People will make mistakes, and sometimes they're not ready to learn from those mistakes, and sometimes they're not in a place where, for various reasons, they are ready to receive that information. But I think despite that, you still have to keep on going at it. So I know there's these young people I've engaged with in the past, and things haven't gone right for them. But when I look at the arc of their life, at the points where it might have dipped, I sort of see them 5-10 years later, and actually those who I feel like it took a left turn still managed to pick it back up again. So I think there's a hope regardless of every situation. There's a young man that I saw a few months ago, and I was like, wow, okay, this was a guy that we were pulling our hair out with, like, how do we get this guy to do what's right? How do we get him on the straight and narrow? Lovely guy, lovely family. Things went left. I see him 5-10 years later, and I'm like, this is a role model.
Wow.
So the person, so whoever's working with young people, working in youth, like wanting to empower young people, never give hope.
Patient. Understand
that every seed you sow now, you may not see, but when it blossoms and when it grows, like, it will be. There are some seeds you put into this, some plants you throw into the ground. You start seeing the fruits of it very quickly.
To me, young people, they want to know that you're actually listening to them. You're paying attention.
Definitely.
For instance, I'm a mother and I've got young people in my house. So it took me time to realize that, oh, mommy is not listening. Do you know what I mean? And when they kind of pick that up, it's difficult for them to actually come to you in terms of communication, because they say, oh, she's not going to listen. There's no point me going back to her. And it's not one person that mentioning it. It's not second person that I'm like, okay, it seems like I'm not listening. So I have to like reflect over what they've been saying. And I said, like, for instance, maybe they want to talk to me, I'm on the phone. You know, parent? So they are talking to me, I'm paying attention the phone. And they're like, okay, Here you go again. She's not listening. They walk up, but I will hear what they say. But then when it becomes consistent, I'm like, no, you need to. So what I do before if they're around, I want to make a call. I will say, listen, I'm going to make a call now. So at least mommy is not going to pay attention. So give me that time for myself. Then later, we cannot talk about what you want us to talk about. So it's about communicating with them. So they will understand, setting the standard, like, make them understand.
I think it's definitely an interesting thing in terms of how to communicate with, because there's communication in general. Yes, people need to make sure that they know that you're listening to them. They feel like they're listening to them. If you're dealing with young people and communicating with young people, the reality for myself, I'll speak as an individual. There are times when I need, as you said, there are times when I need a break, or I need to manage how much communication I'm doing with the young person, just from a point of view of, I need to make sure the time that I'm spent communicating with them is quality time. Which sometimes looks like setting boundaries on the time in which that communication happens. So whether, and it's not because I don't want to hear what's going on in their life.
So
it's
be able to give them full attention when you have to.
And it takes a lot of self-awareness for whoever's working with young people to be able to do that, because you could think to yourself, okay, I'm listening to them, they're messaging me, but actually they don't feel like you're listening to them or hearing them. And if the worst thing that can happen is if a young person's reaching out to you and they're really needing your help, and you're not responding and you're not doing it in the way that they want,
they'll feel withdrawn.
Ironically, I was having a conversation with someone and they like messaging via text. They are very much, they will send long texts messages, or whether it's WhatsApp or iMessage to an individual. But then that individual is old school and they prefer to read the text and then do a phone call later, whereas actually that young person just wants a quick response via text of a few words is better to them than making a phone call to them later on. So it's also about understanding actually, who am I dealing with? What do they want? Can I give them an avenue to communicate to me? Such as, okay, do you know what? I can't talk right now. Drop me a voice note. And actually they'll leave you a series of voice notes where they've been able to express what it is that is their concern at that time. And then you can within sort of know that actually you're a mum, you're a businesswoman, you've got all these other competing big things going on. Actually, you can deal with those and then come back to it. But they felt like, actually, I've been able to communicate and get off my chest. So that might work for some people, that might not work for others, but definitely how we communicate and actually making sure that communication is right, so that the person who's supporting, whether that's as a support worker or as a project person for the young person, is also doesn't get burnt out.
So how do we promote empowerment? How do you think, how best do we promote it?
I think it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be big. It can start with small little things, whether that's in the workplace, whether that's in community organizations, whether that's in local churches, and thinking of those individuals, what skills do they have? And are they able to put that into place? So if you're in an office or you're in a like you've got young people working for you, are you utilizing their skills? Are you giving them an opportunity? Are there any like little projects that you can throw their way that may not have a big risk impact? Let's say, for example, there's a Christmas party coming up. Get them to organize it. What's the harm in that? Give them the budget. Tell them the ideas.
So it's about involving them, getting them involved.
Them involved. Other ways to promote it is to just speak to them and say, look, you're looking at doing this. How do they think you should go about doing it? Within that, I will say, I don't know if it's just where I've been in my catchment. I think sometimes if you come to young people with too much of a blank canvas, you'll either get nothing and they will just look at you and be like,
oh my God, Is she okay?
or one or two of them will sort of run away with the idea. So at least have a framework of one or two things that you want them, and over time you begin to pick up ideas of ways of getting them involved. From a young person's point of view, if there's more things that you want to get involved in as a young person, look out there on the internet. You've got things like youth parliament. You've got things that are happening in your local environment, in local boroughs. You've got volunteering activities. So I can't remember what they're called now, but these National Youth Voluntary Service. That like they set up young people to go out and do different things, and even look at companies or businesses you're interested in being part of that might do like social outreach projects or projects that you're interested in. Volunteer there, approach them directly and say, hi, I'm so and so, how can I help? You may not think you have the skills, they may be able to see it, or you may think oh, actually I can do some video editing for you, I can do some script writing for you, I can do some photography for you, I can do whatever it might I might be able to do some coding for you or something like that. You don't know the skills that you have that they might need. There are a lot of things that young people think is second nature and everybody does and everybody knows, when actually there's a whole generation to them that's a whole minefield, and that's a university degree. So don't feel a way about going out to them and directly asking them, actually, I've got these skills, can I be of help to you?
Yeah, because you'll be putting them off.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So you've had way of promoting our young people because you want them to be better. They're our future. Maybe future presidents, future prime ministers, future CEOs. Absolutely, yes. So being a youth leader, is it like a skill? Or I know you've mentioned a little bit about it before. You just you narrated it, you use yourself. That's how you become. It's not a skill. It's not like you studied it or something.
No, I think, is it a skill? I think it's a vocation. I think not every young person who is interested in leadership roles is geared up for leading young people. In the sense that, as I said, I got into it because I was young, and actually I carried on doing it afterwards. But actually, not just because someone's a young person doesn't mean they are forever to be working with people who are young people. Is it a skill? I think there's definitely skills you pick up. I think there's definitely skills you can learn. But I think the main thing that you need within it is to have a heart for young people. You have to have the ability to listen, the ability to empathize, and to be willing to support and care.
That's just it.
Those are the things that young people will need the most.
And as you go, things will start,
as you go,
unfolding itself.
There are courses you can do around mentoring, courses you can do about counseling, courses you can do about actually more the more technical side of things. So whether that's being involved with young people in crime or young people who've been abused, or there's a lot of information out there that can support you. But fundamentally, you've just got to care about young people, want to help them, and be willing to listen.
There's this story, the community where I come from. So each time they're gathering together, the children, they don't come. These young people, it's just about the adults. So we went to this event at the sea, and then everybody brought their kids. And then at that moment, they felt like, okay, we have all our young children here, let's get them together. And then they asked them to bring numbers, let's put them in a group. And they find it strange because, first of all, you don't even know who they are. You don't know their interest. You want to add them somewhere. So as soon as I saw that thing happen, I stepped in. I kind of make jokes with them, laugh with them. So get them to kind of see me in a different perspective.
what discipleship looks like. I hope I'm going to say this correctly. You watch, and I'll do, and then we talk about it at the end. The next time you do it, you watch. I do. You help, and then we have a conversation about how you helped at the end.
And then
the next time we do it, you do.
Yeah.
I help, and then we have a conversation with it.
That's a very good one.
And then after that, you do it. I watch, and then you have a conversation with me about it afterwards.
I like that.
The final one is next time you do, and you get someone else to watch.
Wow.
So then sets it off on these are the ways that you sort of have the conversations with them
we
about
need
what
to
you're
repeat
doing.
that. I like that step. That's it. They need to really hear that. Please speak to young people. Young people, listen. You need to listen to this. This is very, very important. It will help you. So you tell them exactly what you say, one after the other, so they can listen.
You watch, and I do, and then we have a conversation about it afterwards. You watch, I do, and you help. Then we have a conversation about how you helped. The next time you do, I help, and we have a conversation to talk about how you did in leading. The next time you do by yourself, I watch, and I give you pointers. The next time after that, you do by yourself, and someone else watches, and you begin discipling someone else. And so it's definitely about how do you take them through, gently hand over. But then your question of leadership, by the time you've become more comfortable, the key next bit is how do you get them to be in a place where they can now begin to pass that on to someone else? Because that's the change point where they stop being just the young person who's now good at doing something to actually, so the young person who's good at editing to now being the young person who's leading other people and then leading a team of editors.
Empowering other people. Yes. Wow, that's a very good one. Very, very good. I like that. And I believe that them hearing it over there, they will like it as well.
Just in case anyone's wondering where that I got that from, because it's not mine. The book's called Intentional Fatherhood. Intentional
Fatherhood.
Yeah.
Please go and look out for that book and read it. Young people, read it.
Yeah.
Please pay attention to details, to what he's saying. It's for our own good, for your good and for the good of your parents, the community, the society in general.
Yeah.
So speak to them, please.
So fail forward. You can in the early days, it's better to be, dare I say, high risk, because actually if you get something that works for you just a little bit, you can find yourself going from to being the next big success. So don't be scared of failure, but have a plan. If your plan changes or things impact your plan, adapt, keep moving, keep aspiring. A famous quote was that if you tell me your plan and you can achieve your plan and you can see all the goals, all the steps in your plan's too small. If your aspiration is within your grasp, then actually your aspiration is too small. So dream big. Think of all the steps that you need that you can do. Start working on them. And if you fail, it doesn't matter. As long as you are doing something about it, as long as you're learning, because then you're actually moving forward and you don't know what skills and what things you're being set up for, what experiences that you're going to basically use in the future that are going to be unique to you because you've done this, you've done that. You might be someone who's an art creative director somewhere who has a background in accounting and a background in geology, and somehow that makes you uniquely, specifically set up for a very specific role, because everybody's got a purpose in life, and achieving that purpose doesn't necessarily always take the same way. Actually, for some people it does. They know exactly what it is they want to do. But if that's not you yet, at least if you know what you don't like, then actually that helps you to guide you into the things that you enjoy, the things that you find fun, the things that make you happy and that you actually are successful in as well.
Okay, so obviously he's explained everything. The only thing I want to add to that is know who you are, be confident, ask
Yeah.
question when you want to ask question. Um, just follow your heart, do the right thing. Don't be afraid of failing. We all fail at some point. We'll pick it up and continue. So keep going. You will get there. The future is for all of us, for
Yeah.
you, young people mostly. Make your family proud and make, for the important one, make yourself proud. This game obviously is that you have to spin it like this, and when it stops, the country where your eyes catches will help you towards the where you're gonna go. Summer is coming,
Okay.
and
Next
it's next year. So we want to go somewhere, summary and stuff like that.
Okay.
Leave the environment a little bit.
Yep.
So when you spin it, when it stops, the country your eyes catches will help you to figure out where you're gonna go next year.
So obviously, I need to not look just at the equator.
Yeah, just spin it when it stops.
Interesting. Republic of China.
Oh, okay, China.
Okay,
that's good. Another one.
Spin it the other one this time. Ooh, Tanzania.
Oh, I like Tanzania.
Yeah, that's definitely on the list then.
Okay. Africa.
No, Washington actually. So America.
Oh my gosh, they're going to America. my past guess also had, I think it was Washington DC as well.
Okay.
So you've got 3 now, right?
So China, Tanzania. I like the sound of Tanzania.
Yeah.
And Washington. Yeah.
Okay, so at least you can choose one out of them.
Definitely choose one.
Tanzania is good.
Definitely.
Okay. There's a country that has been in my mind, and I pray before I finish this season, I will see that. Yeah,
so that it's confirmation you should go there.
Yes, please. What's that? Ethiopia.
Okay. Really nice country.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the only countries in Africa that was never colonized.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll put that one on the list. She says so. Come on, give me that country, please. It's about time. Colombia. Why is it taking? It's taking me just somewhere. Carry me go where I don't want to go. Okay, please. Mexico.
Okay, so 2 Southern American countries. Yeah. So you could do a tour.
Yeah, I like the sound of Mexico. Okay. I don't mind going Mexico. Out of the 3, I think I'll choose Mexico. All right, we've come to the end of our little, kind of game that helps us from next year summer.
Yeah, definitely.
At least you have Tanzania now.
I definitely have Tanzania in the mind. That's definitely on the top of that list.
Obviously, I told you guys this is a champagne show, and we cannot have or talk about champagne show without sipping champagne. We're gonna toast because we have a very lovely conversation today. So we're gonna cheers to that conversation.
Yeah. Sure.
Thank you for coming. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We've come to the end of the topic for today, youth empowering, and I believe that you've had everything we've got to say. And please, youth out there, put it into practice. Remember, you're not alone. There's someone out there that will help you. Please reach out. It's important to reach out. So thank you all for watching the show, and I will see you guys very soon with another guest. Thank you. Bye.